press the bell icon on the YouTube app and never miss another update.
Okay, hello students. So in the last class we discussed about the compounds of dihydrogen like hydrides, their preparations, uses and their properties. Okay, so with that let us move on to one more important compound of this hydrogen, that is nothing but water. Important compound. You know the molecular formula of water, that is H2O, right? And you all know that water is one of the essential compound required for the survival of life on the earth. That may be plants, that may be animals. So they require the water for their survival. Without water we cannot expect the life on the surface of the earth. Okay, so here this water, it is mainly made up of 2 hydrogen atoms and 1 oxygen. And if you take this occurrence of the water, so if you take the human organ or you can take any animal, so 70% animals body consists of 65 to 70% of water. So you know that the body is made up of the tissues, the organelles and all. So along with that we are having water. So the maximum percentage of compound present in the body is nothing but the water, that is about 65 to 70%. And then in case of some plants, nearly 80% of their body is made up of water. So then, for the survival of an organism, that may be animal, that may be plant, water is essential. Likewise, so if you take the earth, on the surface of the earth, so more than 80% of the earth is covered by means of water. Remaining 20%, that is nothing but the land. Remaining 20% is nothing but the land. So this is the percentage of water on the surface of the earth. Out of this 80%, only 2% is nothing but the fresh water. Only 2% is the fresh water, because the remaining water is nothing but what we can say is present in the oceans and seas, which is not fresh, which is saline in nature, right? So here just 2% of water is a fresh water. Out of 2%, less than 1% of water is available for drinking purpose. Less than 1% of water is available for the drinking purpose. So because in case of this 2%, so water may present in the form of glaciers or in the form of snow, or we can say that one as the ice. So that is not available for drinking purpose. So less than 1% of water is available for drinking purpose. See, our body comprises of 65 to 75%. So we are having only this much of water. That means to see, we have to take care of water. Okay, yes, like that. So that is the availability of water on the surface of the earth as well as in the organisms. So now let us know, as I said, water is the most essential component. You know that air, water and food, they are the essential components required for the survival of life, right? So one of the important component is nothing but water. Let us discuss in detail about this water. So this water, so it has some physical properties. If you move on to the physical properties of this water, you can have the first one. The first physical property of water is that, so it is colorless, odorless and tasteless. Okay, pure water is colorless, odorless and tasteless. So if you see the colored water, it is not a pure water, it is contaminated with some substances. We are going to get some odor, then also that indicate it is polluted or it is contaminated with other substances. Likewise, if it is having a taste, means that is also contaminated with some chemical substances, because pure water is colorless, odorless and then tasteless. And then if you move on to its molecular mass, water has a molecular mass of 18.015 gram, 18.0515 gram per mole, because this is the molecular mass. Molecular mass of water we are going to take approximately as 18, right? So here in molecular formula of water, you are having oxygen, that is 16, and then its atomic mass is 1 plus 1 2, 16 plus 2 is nothing but 18. So sum of the atomic masses of the atoms in case of that molecule gives you the molecular mass, right? So now molecular mass of water is 18 gram per mole. Simply if you remember that much, that is more than enough. And then if you move on to the next property of this water, so it has a boiling point of, it has a boiling point of 100 degrees Celsius, and it freezes at 0 degree Celsius. So its boiling point is 100 degrees Celsius and its freezing point is 0 degree Celsius, which is different from other liquids. So what is the cause, that we are going to discuss later on. If you move on to the next physical property of this water, it has a density of 1 gram per centimeter cube. 1 gram per centimeter cube. Its mass by volume. Density is nothing but mass by volume. So which gives a value of 1 gram per centimeter cube. Right. So similarly, if you move on to the next property of water, next physical property of water, it has highest heat of vaporization, right? Dielectric constant, enthalpy of fusion, okay. So all the values of these physical properties of water are high compared to other liquids, right? So what is the cause for that one, or what we can say, water has unusual properties. Water has unusual properties, or we can say that one as what? We can say that one as abnormal properties of water, right? So compared to other liquids is mainly because of hydrogen bonding. It's mainly because of what? Hydrogen bonding. It is a special type of bond what we can see in case of water. So that is because of this hydrogen bonding, it has high heat of vaporization, high dielectric constant, high enthalpy of fusion is high, right? So likewise, that has been given in the textbook, the table. Just go through that table, you are going to get the values for this constant. Right. So here once again, if you know, you should know unusual properties means along with this you can have. So what is that? Water has a maximum density at 4 degrees Celsius. Water has a maximum density at 4 degrees Celsius. You know that whenever a substance is heated, it will expand. Right? Whenever a substance is heated, solid substance is heated, it will expand. But if you take, you know that water exists in all the three states, that is solid, liquid and gaseous state. So which is the solid state of water? That is nothing but ice. All of them are having the same molecular formula. Chemically all are same. Physically they are different from one another, right? So if you take a solid ice and if you heat this one, so on heating it should expand, but it will not expand, it will contract. Do you know why? Because, so here when ice is heated, ice, how you are going to represent? Solid. So it leads to the liquid form of water, or further if you heat it will convert it into a gaseous form. Okay, so here, so what happens in case of solid ice, there will be what? Hydrogen bonds. So when you heat, what happens, or when you increase the temperature, the hydrogen bonds breaks. The hydrogen bond breaks. Because of the breaking of hydrogen bond, the water molecule will come close to one another. In case of ice, they are far away from one another. Later I am going to discuss that structure of ice, right? So whenever a substance is heated, it should expand. Because there will be what you can say moving away of the particles of that. There will be expansion of that substance. But in case of water, it is reverse. It is abnormal property, we can say. So what it has lead to? It leads to the association of the molecule. The molecules come close to one another. Why? Because of the breaking of the hydrogen bonding. As hydrogen bond breaks, the leads to the association of the molecules. If the molecules will get associated to one another, what happens? So its volume decreases. If volume decreases, mass increases, because density is nothing but mass by volume. Right? Density is nothing but the mass by volume. So then what we can say, so as the density increases, it reaches a maximum density at 4 degrees Celsius. Afterwards, once again, what we can say, the density decreases. So that's why the maximum density of water is at 4 degrees Celsius. It is mainly because whenever water, or you can say ice, is heated, it will convert it into a liquid. During that, it leads to the association of the molecules due to the breaking of hydrogen bonds. That is the one unusual property of water, that is mainly because of what? Hydrogen. So let us move on to the next one. So here what we can say about water? So ice floats on the surface of water. Ice flows on the surface of water. Even though both are the chemically same, but ice floats on the surface of water. Why? Because in case of ice, there will be large number of, or you can say extensive hydrogen bonding. More number of hydrogen bonds are present. Because of that, the molecules are away from one another. Right? So as the molecules are away from one another, what happens? So there will be gap between the molecules, that leads to decrease in the density. If density decreases, what happens? So it will floats on the surface of the water. Ice floats on the surface of water because of its cage-like structure, because of its porous structure. That is mainly because of hydrogen bonding. And one more point we should note down in case of the physical properties of water is that, so last one I will write here, 9th one, that is what we can say, it is a universal. It is a universal solvent. Universal solvent. Why? Because of its dipolar nature, or you can say it is because of its polar nature. One more point you can add. Water is polar in nature. Like that you can make one more point. What is the meaning of that? So if you take the water, if it is oxygen, it is bonded to 2 hydrogen atoms. So here oxygen is electronegative and then hydrogen is electropositive in nature. So what you are going to get? You are going to get a partial negative charge on the oxygen atom and a partial positive charge on the hydrogen atom. Right? So what do you call for this one? This is called as dipole. or it is called as polar, presence of charge in the molecule. Presence of both the charges in a molecule counts for the polar nature. So because of this, almost all the ionic substances are soluble in water, because ionic substances are also what? Polar in nature. They also possess what? The opposite charges. You can have the example of NaCl. What it is having? It is having Na plus and Cl minus. So is NaCl is soluble in water? Yes. Sodium chloride is soluble in water because of its ionic nature. It is ionic, it is ionic. It is polar, it is polar. Sorry, not ionic, it is a covalent molecule. It is what? So it is a polar molecule. It is also a polar molecule. There is a basic rule. What is that? Like dissolves like. Right? So then if I write one substance like acetic acid, CH3COOH, or you can have the example of ethanol, C2H5OH. These two are organic substances. These are also soluble in water? Yes. Why? Because of this group. It develops a partial polarity on the molecule. So here we are going to get CH3CO minus. On the carbon you can write the positive charge. Here on the carbon you can write the positive charge, and here you are going to get a negative charge. Partial negative charge, partial positive charge. What does this symbol indicate? That is delta. That is a partial, incomplete, not complete, plus minus. Right? So here you can see that because of the polar nature, if I separate this one, it will become C2H5OH. This will become a whole group and this will become a group. Right? So because of this polar nature, so it is also soluble in water. Not all the organic substances, some like the acetic acid and lower member of alcohols are soluble in water, like acetone also, that is one a ketone, CH3COCH3. So these are all the some of the substances, organic substances, which are soluble in water. So because of this, what we call water as a universal solvent. What is the answer for this? Because of its polar nature, almost all the ionic and some organic substances are also soluble in water. So it is called as what? Universal solvent. So these are all the physical properties of water. That is, it is colorless, odorless and tasteless. Its molecular mass is 18 gram per mole. It has a boiling point of 100 degrees Celsius and it freezes at 0 degrees Celsius. Similarly, it is has a density of 1 gram per centimeter cube and it has highest heat of vaporization, dielectric constant, dipole moment. Also, it is polar in nature and it has unusual properties mainly because of what? Mainly because of hydrogen bonding. This is very important concept here. And then water has a maximum density at 4 degrees Celsius. So that means to say, when water is heated, hydrogen bond breaks. It leads to the association of molecules that increases the density of that water molecule. Similarly, ice floats on the surface of water because ice has lesser density than the water because of hydrogen bonding. Right? Finally, water is a universal solvent because of its polar nature, which dissolve almost all ionic and some of the covalent substances into it. And one more concept you should know about water is that it is boon not only for the organisms which are present on the surface of the earth, but also aquatic animals. It is a boon, it is a life, it is a lifeline. Water is a lifeline for what? The aquatic animals also, right? So, or you can say the underwater animals also. Why? Because, so that is in case of polar regions. In case of polar regions, during winter season, during winter season, okay, ice acts as insulator because of its high heat capacity, high heat capacity, the capacity to withstand heat. So if you take the polar regions, see some water body is there, means during what winter season, what happens, the water will be converted into ice, right? Then here there will be water, liquid water. Do you know why? This ice will not allow the temperature to go down. Inside the body, the temperature will not go down. So it will be in the liquid state. Because of this, the aquatic animals will be safe. They can lead the life. Otherwise, if it also become the ice, then there will be no air, no oxygen. Then all the aquatic animals will die. So that's why the polar bears are the animals which live in case of polar region. They prefer to be in water, inside the water during winter, because here ice acts as an insulator because of its high heat capacity. Likewise, in our body also, maximum percentage of water should be present. Everyone will say, so drink 3 to 4, 4 to 5, or 6 to 8 glasses of water, or 2 to 3 liters of water a day. Why? Because so it will maintain the body temperature. During the various seasons and all, it will maintain the body temperature. So what people will do, now winter season started, so what they will do, oh, if you drink more water, we have to go to washroom and all, so no need to drink more water because this is too cold. You should not do. Now in this season only, our body require maximum water. If there is no water, skin dries, it loses our moisture, right? Winter take away our moisture. That's why our body should be moist, mean we should drink more and more and more water. Not to apply the moisturizing creams and all, you have to apply in limited. But if you are drinking more water, means no need to apply such more, no need to apply or no need to depend on such type of moisturizing creams and all, because water itself maintain our body temperature. So that's why we should drink more water, especially during winter season, without bothering about the washrooms and all. Okay, we can go, no problem. So if you have to retain the body temperature as well as you maintain the moisture, so what you have to drink? You have to drink more water, right? So that is, so like as here ice is acting as an insulator, water also maintain our body temperature. That is one more important question you are going to get, why the polar animals will require this one, that is water, or how they are survive during the winter season. It is mainly because of the insulating action of the ice which present on the surface of the water. So these are the some of the important physical properties of water, what you should know. With that, if I move on to the structure of water, okay, so structure of water, right? So if you take the structure of water, so it is made up of one oxygen atom which is bonded to two hydrogen atoms. One oxygen atom is bonded to two hydrogen atoms. Because it's bivalent, it is monovalent. One hydrogen will not satisfy the valency of one oxygen. Only when two hydrogen bonded to oxygen, it forms the water, right? So this oxygen will undergo sp3 hybridization. How this water molecule has been formed, I think it has been discussed in case of chemical bonding. Just let brief that one. So what is that? So oxygen means its atomic number is 8, its electronic configuration is 1s2, 2s2, 2p4. So if you write the structure, so it is 1s2, then 2s2, and then 2p4 means 4 electrons in the p orbital, 3, this is 4. Forget about this. So here 2s and 2p, 1 s orbital overlap with 3 p orbitals leads to the formation of 4 sp3 hybrid orbitals. Yes, 4 sp3 hybrid orbitals. So out of those sp3 hybrid orbitals, 2 orbitals consist of 1 electron each and 2 orbitals consist of 2 electrons, a pairs of electrons. What do you call for this type of electrons? They are called as lone pair of electrons. Let me write the orbital picture of this water. You write. So here I can represent these are the orbitals which will overlap with the hydrogen atom, and these two are the orbitals which contains lone pair of electrons. So these two orbitals are containing the lone pair of electrons. Lone, L-O-N-E, lone pair of electrons. Right? So this is the orbital picture. If you consider this one as the oxygen atom, oxygen will undergo sp3 hybridization and leads to the formation of 4 sp3 hybrid orbitals. So where the 2 sp3 hybrid orbital consists of 1 electron. So this will overlap with the 1s orbital of hydrogen, leads to the formation of oxygen hydrogen bond. Similarly, oxygen hydrogen bond. Now oxygen is left with 2 orbitals which are having lone pair of electrons. Okay, so why this is important means, so you know that water has a bent V or angular structure. Water is having a angular structure. Because of this, you can see that the bond angle is 104 degree 5 minutes. 104 degree 5 minutes, and the bond length, that is oxygen hydrogen bond length, is 95.7 picometer. 95.7 picometer. What is that? That is the bond length, distance between the oxygen and the hydrogen bond is 95.7 picometer. What about the bond angle? 104 degree 5 minutes. Actually, as it is undergoing sp3 hybridization, it should have a what? A tetrahedral structure like the methane. Tetrahedral structure, but it is having what? A bent or angular structure. It is having a bent, or you can say angular structure. Right? In place of tetrahedral structure, it is having bent or angular structure. Why this change? Because of these electrons. Because of these electrons. I think you studied in case of chemical bonding. There is one theory called as valence shell electron pair repulsion theory. According to that theory, repulsion between lone pair is greater than repulsion between lone pair bond pair, which is greater than repulsion between bond pair and bond pair. So what electrons we can see? Lone pair electrons. 2 pairs of lone pair electrons are there, which cause a maximum deviation of bond angle, that is from 109 degree 28 minutes to 104 degree 5 minutes. There is a change. This is an important concept. Why the bond angle of water is 104.5 degree Celsius. Degree. It is mainly because of the distortion caused due to the repulsion between lone pair electrons which are present in case of the the water molecule, right? So that is the concept. Why it is having a bent structure, that is the answer. So again, if you move on to the one more structure of water to show the dipolar nature, I already used this one. So here oxygen is highly electronegative, so it will get a partial negative charge, it is partial positive charge, and it is partial positive charge. So you are going to get a dipole moment of 1.85 dBi. That is a unit to express the dipole moment. Right. So if the dipole moment value is 0, the molecule is non-polar. If it is having some value, means it is polar in nature. So this picture shows that water is polar in nature because its value is dipole moment is 1.85 dBi. Yes, are you getting the concept? So these are all the various ways we can explain about the structure of water. Let me write the structure of ice here itself. Structure of ice. If you know, so ice is also a form of water. that is a solid form, or you can say the crystalline form of water is nothing but the ice, right? So if you take this ice here, according to the X-ray studies, the water has a three-dimensional, ice has a three-dimensional structure where each oxygen is surrounded by means of 4 other oxygen atoms. Each oxygen is surrounded by 4 other oxygen atom, gives rise to a what you can say cage-like structure. If it is one, means like that the simultaneous, or you can say the neighbors of this one will be arranged. So here you can see that there is a huge gap between one water molecule and another water molecule. If it is one water molecule, means then this hydrogen will link to another oxygen molecule which is having 2 hydrogen atoms again. So this will be linked to like this. So if I write here O, means here it will be H. Likewise here if I write O, means it will be H. Like that you are going to get a cage-like structure, right? A porous structure, cage-like structure. So there is a gap. In the book they have given the 3-dimensional picture, right? There is a gap between the water molecules. So what happens? That will give a cage-like structure. So I already explained this one in the physical properties. That is, ice floats on the surface of water because of its lesser density, because of these gaps. That is a gap present between one water molecule and the another water molecule due to extensive hydrogen bonding. That is very important here. Extensive hydrogen bonding make the water less denser in case of ice. So that is all the story of ice. So let us move on to the next concept in case of water. So you understood the structure of water and then physical properties of water. Let us move on to the chemical properties of water. Chemical properties of water, right? So here the first one is amphoteric nature. Amphoteric nature. So what is this amphoteric nature? So here water acts as both. Ampho means both acid as well as a base. Water acts as both acid as well as a base, right? How it is? So there are various concepts proposed to explain acids and bases. You know that, right? One of the concept is Bronsted concept. According to that, acid is a proton donor, base is a proton acceptor. Let us see how our water accept a proton and donate a proton. Donate and accept a proton and accept a proton. Okay, so if you take water as an acid, if you need to react liquid water with ammonia, that is nothing but NH3, which is a gas, right? So if you pass the ammonia gas into water, so it will form into what? OH minus plus, what we can get? NH4 plus. Okay. NH4 plus, this is a solution, this is also. Okay, look at this example. Here water is donating one proton to ammonia. Water is donating a proton to ammonia. Donor of proton is acid. According to which concept? The Bronsted concept. According to Bronsted concept, acid proton accept donor, right? So here which is donating the proton? What is a proton actually? H plus. Who is donating H plus? H2O. It will become H plus and OH minus, right? And donates its H plus to NH3 to the ammonia. So it will become into what? NH4 plus. It is accepting a proton and it is donating a proton. So what we call for donor of a proton? It is acid. It is one example. Likewise, water acts as a base. Let us have an example. That is H2O liquid plus hydrogen sulfide H2S, right? So it will form into again H3O plus S2 minus HS minus HS minus, right? So it is a liquid and it is aqueous. It is aqueous. It is aqueous. AQ represent aqueous. Observe this example. Here what is happening? So water is extracting one proton from H2S. Right? So it is acquiring or it is accepting a proton from H2S and it will become what? H3O plus. What do you call for H3O plus? It is called as hydronium ion. Yes, in equilibrium concept you are going to discuss this one. Again this same reaction will come. There you should know that water acts as an acid as well as a base. Right? So here by accepting a proton it is acting, it is by donating a proton it is acting as an acid. By accepting a proton it acts as a base. Okay. So what we can call base means proton acceptor. Proton acceptor is nothing but the what? The base. So here it acts as an acid, here it acts as a base. Understood these two examples? Let me explain one more important concept here, that is autolysis. Autolysis of water, or you can say that one as self-ionization. Autolysis of water. So what you are going to get? So if you take water and one more compound of water, so it will lead to the formation of H3O plus OH minus, formation of both hydronium ion and hydroxyl ion. That means to say one is acting as an acid and one is acting as a base. One is donating the electron, one is accepting the electron. So what you call now this one? So it is also having H plus. It has a tendency to donate the electron, proton. If we can add one proton to this one, OH minus, right? So we call this type as, this is conjugate acid. What do you call for this one? Conjugate acid. What we call for this one? This is a conjugate base. This is a conjugate base. So a acid base pair which differ by means of a proton. Acid base pair which differ by means of a proton is called what? Conjugate acid base pair. So here you can have, say for example, what is the difference between H2O and H3O plus? Right? It is having a difference of H plus. I will write here H2O and H3O plus. If I add one H2O, it will become H3O. If I remove one, it will become H2O. So what is the difference between these two? A proton. So this is one example. You can have so many examples. There, two pairs of compounds differ by means of a what? Proton. Such type of acid base pairs are called as what? Conjugate acid base pair. Look at this example now. OH minus, right, and H3O plus. They are not the conjugate acid base pair because here it is H3O. If I add one H for this one, it will become H2O. And then if I remove one hydrogen from this will become what? H2O. Those two are not conjugate acid base pair. These two are conjugate acid base pair. Are you getting the concept? So what is the difference between this and this? This is the acid, conjugate base is OH minus. In exams a question will come, write the conjugate acid off, write the conjugate base off, like that. If you get H2O, write the conjugate base means you have to write OH minus, not H3O plus, because they asked what? Conjugate base. They asked the conjugate base. That means to say it should have the tendency to accept the proton. If I write H3O plus, it will not become the conjugate base because it's already having proton. We cannot donate this one to that, right? So there should be difference of one hydrogen atom between them. So if the question arises, OH minus they have given, write the conjugate acid, then what you are going to write? H2O, because these two differ by means of what? A water, a hydrogen, or you can say a proton. Similarly, if they have given H3O plus, write the conjugate base, what you have to write? You have to write H2O, right? Because these two differ. If I add one H, it will become H3O. If I remove one H, it will become H2O. They differ by means of, which is acid here? This is. Which is base here? This is. Likewise, you have to remember that is important concept in case of what? In case of your equilibrium chapter. So this is the very important property of water, that is nothing but amphoteric nature. Here water is acting as both acid as well as a base. As acid by accepting by donating a proton, as base by accepting a proton. Right? So that is, and there we can see that how water gets self-ionized to form hydronium ion and hydroxyl ion, and what is the concept of conjugate acid base pair. Simple concept. What is conjugate acid base pair? Give example if the question arises, what you have to write? The acid base pair which differ by means of a proton. The acid base pair which differ by means of a proton. Example, any example you can have. You can have the example of NH3 and NH4 plus also. NH3 and NH4 plus also. Which is acid here? This is. Which is base here? This is. Question may come. Write the conjugate acid. Answer is this one. If they give this one, write the conjugate base. You have to write this one. One more this one. NH2 minus. NH2 minus. Right? So its conjugate acid NH3, like that. Very simple concept it is, and very important concept that is conjugate acid base pair. Here this is the application of that one in this chapter, but in detail you are going to study in case of what? Equilibrium chapter. Okay. So yes, understood the amphoteric nature of water. That is the one chemical property of water. So water acts as both acid as well as base. That property of water is called as amphoteric nature. Next, second property is redox reactions. Redox reactions. What are these redox reactions? So here in case of redox, redox means what? The reactions which involve simultaneous oxidation as well as reduction. Simultaneous oxidation as well as reduction are called as redox reactions. So water involve both in oxidation reactions as well as in the reduction reactions. That means to say it acts as both oxidant as well as reductant. That means to say it acts as both oxidizing agent, another name for that, and also act as what? Reducing agent, right? So what are those? Let us have simple examples for this oxidizing nature of water. That is, we can have whenever sodium metal is made to drop in water. You know this reaction very well. We already discussed this one in the beginning, right? If you drop a piece of sodium metal into water, what happens? The reaction is vigorous. The reaction is vigorous. Suddenly the sodium will react with water, leads to the formation of what? Sodium hydroxide with the liberation of dihydrogen gas. 2 2s are 4. 2 plus 2 is 4. This reaction is violent in nature. Yes, here one is going to get oxidized, one is going to get reduced. So here, which is the oxidizing agent? Water is the oxidizing agent. Because what is the definition for oxidizing agent? Oxidizing means it gets reduced itself and oxidizes others. So it is oxidizing sodium, right? How come? So if you take this water, the oxidation number of hydrogen is +1. and the oxidation number in the elemental state is 0. Sodium is 0. So in case of this one, oxidation number is plus 1. Sodium oxidation number is plus 1. Here it is 0. Look at this one. 0 to plus 1 to 0. What do you call increase in the oxidation number is oxidation. Decrease in the oxidation number is reduction. And the reagent which cause oxidation is called as oxidizing agent in the name itself. That means to say if it is oxidizing, simple concept ಇದೆ ಇಷ್ಟೇ ನಾನು just use Kannada here. ತಾನು ರೆಡ್ಯೂಸ್ ಆಗಿ ಇನ್ನೊಂದನ್ನ ಆಕ್ಸಿಡೈಸ್ ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ. This is simple. Remember one another you are going to get. ತಾನು ರೆಡ್ಯೂಸ್ ಆಗಿ ಇನ್ನೊಂದನ್ನ ಆಕ್ಸಿಡೈಸ್ ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ. ಅದನ್ನ ನಾವು ಏನಂತ ಕರಿತೀವಿ? ಆಕ್ಸಿಡೈಸಿಂಗ್ ಏಜೆಂಟ್ ಅಂತ ಕರಿತೀವಿ ಅಥವಾ that is called as oxidant. It will get reduce and oxidizes others That reagent is called as what? Oxidant. So our hydrogen is acting as a oxidant, our water is acting as a oxidant here. So let us have one more example, that is reaction of this water with fluorine. If you take fluorine in the gaseous state and if you made to react with water, so it will be converted into oxygen. So fluorine will convert it into that is hydrogen fluoride plus O2. Water has been oxidized to what? Oxygen. Okay, it will get oxidized and reduces other. Addition of hydrogen is reduction. To what it is adding the hydrogen? To fluorine it is adding the hydrogen. Okay, you can have this one. So here the oxidation number of fluorine is 0. Here it is -1. In case of water, oxidation number is -2 and oxidation number is 0 here. Identify oxidation and reduction reactions. So 0 to -1 is increase or decrease? Fluorine, it is 1. Okay, so oxidation is -2, it has been become to 0. So 0 is greater than -2 now, right? Is fluoride. So here you can have there is +1. Okay, so you can have this one. What is that? So there is a variation here. So here fluorine has been, let us understood with the help of the addition and removal of oxygen. Okay, so here or you can say the hydrogen is added to fluorine. Right? So what is that? And you can say -1 and -2 if you consider. So -1 is bigger than -2. -1 is bigger than -2. Right? So that is the concept. So here fluorine will get reduced to hydrogen fluoride and water will get oxidized to what? Oxygen. So there is a removal of what? Hydrogen from water. You can have understood that one also. Oxidation means removal of hydrogen. Reduction means addition of hydrogen. So these two examples says how our water acts as a what? Oxidizing agent. Let us have the reaction for reducing agent. How it will act as a reductant. Very simple example. You know this one. 6CO2 plus 12H2O. Okay, in the presence of chlorophyll and sunlight, as it is a chemical reaction, no need to write that one. So it will lead to the formation of C6H12O6 plus 6H2O plus 6O2. So what do you call for this reaction? This is the photosynthesis. This reaction is the photosynthesis reaction which takes place in case of plants, all green plants. right? So here why we are discussing this one, if you look at the oxidation number of carbon is 4 plus 4. In case of glucose it will reduce to 0, and then here if you take the oxidation number of oxygen is minus 2, it will become 0, and here it is, you can see that. So water acting as a reductant, that means it reduces others. So plus 4 say what has been become, oxidation number has been become to what, 0. Here the oxidation number has been increased, minus 2 to 0. Minus 2 is lesser, 0 is bigger. What we call this one? This one as oxidation. What do you call for this one? This is called reduction. Which is undergoing oxidation and which is undergoing reduction? So water is going oxidation and it is reducing other. What is the reducing agent? It reduces others and oxidizes itself. Reverse of this one. Reverse of this one. So in this example, what we can say that water acts as a reducing agent. Water is acting as a reducing agent. It reduces the carbon dioxide to what? To glucose. Carbon dioxide to glucose in the presence of chlorophyll and sunlight. That is a different story. Simply you can give the example for reductant as photosynthesis. So let us move on to the next chemical property of this water, that is hydrolysis reaction. What is that? Hydrolysis reactions. So what is that hydrolysis reactions? So whenever any substance is made to dissolve in water, it will get hydrolyzed, or you can say almost all the ionic substances and some, what we can say what property we are discussing now? I think it is third property, right? Hydrolysis reactions. Hydrolysis reactions. So because of its high dielectric constant, because of its high dielectric constant, that is very important, dielectric constant. Okay, dielectric constant, almost all, the ionic and some covalent compounds are hydrolyzed, are soluble in water. So what we call water as? Water is a universal solvent. Water is the universal solvent. Okay now? Okay, so you know about ionic, that is I give an example of NaCl. When it is dissolved in water, it will form Na plus Cl minus. So aqueous. What is the meaning of that? The positive ions of water surround the Cl minus. Negative ions of water surrounds the Na plus. What are the positive ions of water? H plus. H plus surrounds Cl minus, and OH minus of water surrounds the Na plus. That is solubility. How you are going to represent? Aqueous. It is understood. No need to write everywhere what OH minus surrounded. That is solubility. Right? So that is nothing but repulsion between that positive and negative charges. That will give rise to what? Dielectric constant. Discharge of charges, so that it is soluble in case of that particular solvent. So it is likewise you can have any of the ionic compound. KCl you can have, CaCl2 you can have, MgCl2 you can have. Any of the ionic compound is soluble, right? Because like dissolves like. But there is a story here. There are some organic substances which are also soluble, or covalent substances which are also soluble. I can give example of phosphorus pentoxide. phosphorus pentoxide, that is P4H10, sorry, P4O10. When it is made to dissolve in water, it will form into H3PO4 to H3PO4, H3PO4, that is phosphoric acid. It is 4H3PO4, 4H3PO4, 4 3s are 12, 6 2s are 12, P4, it is P4, 4P, then O10 plus 6, 16, 4 4s are 16, okay. It is one covalent compound, but it is soluble in water to form that acidic solution. Similarly, one more example you can have, silicon tetrachloride, SiCl4, SiCl4. It is also covalent in nature. If it is dissolved in water, so it will form into what you can get, silicon dioxide plus hydrochloric acid, silicon dioxide plus 4HCl. This is the story. So not only ionic, some of the covalent compounds are also soluble in water, leads to the formation of the acidic solution. You can have this one, phosphoric acid is an acid, silicon dioxide and hydrochloric acid is also one of the acid. Okay, so with that let us move on to the next concept here. So you can have hydrates formation, next property, that is last one, hydrates formation, hydrates formation. Okay, so there are some salts, so which crystallizes only when some amount of water is trapped with them. So we call that water as what? Water of crystallization. Okay, for the crystallization of some salt, water is essential, and the water associated with those crystals of the salts is called as water of hydration. I can give the example of BaCl2 dot 2H2O, barium chloride. What do you call for this one? This is called as what? Water of hydration, or you can say water of crystallization also. You can have oxalic acid, H2C2O4 dot 2H2O, that is also water of crystallization. One more example, most popular example, copper sulfate dot 5H2O, it is also called as blue vitriol, right? If water is removed from this one, no, it will become colorless. Because of this water only it is having a blue color. Right? So for the formation of crystal of copper sulfate, this is very important. Not only color, crystal structure. If there is no water, it will be converted into a powder form. If there is no water, it will converted into a powder colorless form. But if there is a water of crystallization, it will be blue and blue vitriol. Similarly, you can have one more example, that is ferrous sulfate, hydrated ferrous sulfate dot. You can have 7H2O molecules. So this is called as water of crystallization. This is called as green vitriol. What do you call for this one? This is called as green vitriol. Right? This is water of what? Crystallization or water of hydration. So that is hydrates formation. And one more example we can have, that is washing soda. Yes, washing soda, Na2CO3 dot 10H2O. It is called as washing soda. S block elements alli baruttidu washing soda. Chemical formula kelirtare. ಅರ್ಥ ಆಗ್ತಿದೆಯಾ? ಸೊ ಹಿಯರ್ ವಾಷಿಂಗ್ ಸೋಡಾ ಮೀನ್ಸ್ Na2CO3 dot 10H2O. That is the water of crystallization or water of hydration. So these are all some of the chemical properties of water. So there we have discussed about what? The amphoteric nature of water, where we explained water acts as both acid as well as a base. Similarly, the autolysis of water, where the concept of conjugate acid base pair is very important. Then the third comes the hydrolysis of water. Almost all the ionic and some of the organic substances are also soluble in water. Two examples I have given here, that is phosphorus pentoxide and silicon tetrachloride. You can have acetone as an example, that is also covalent in nature. Similarly, alcohol and simple alcohols are also, and glucose C6H12O6, that is covalent, but it is soluble in water because of its polar nature. Polar bonds, if they are present in that, means that acts as a that will be soluble in water. Similarly, the last property, that is nothing but hydrates formation. So, during the crystallization of crystals, there will be association of some water molecules, that is called as water of hydration, or we can call that one as a water of crystallization, right. So, that is, and in the next class we shall discuss about the types of water on reaction with the soap, that is hard water and soft water, and what are the different methods which are used for the softening of hard water. And finally, we are having a very small concept of hydrogen peroxide, so that we are going to discuss in the next class. Thank you.